set the stage again, okay? As the customer, you have told me that you typically get your vehicles maintained at Jiffy Lube or Quick Lube, whatever. Guys, you need to pay attention to this. You get your vehicle maintenance at the Jiffy Lube. Your driving habits will be, you're a 6-year owner, 15,000 miles a year, okay? You're financing a vehicle. You've agreed to a payment of $509, okay? We've already covered all that in the interview, but I'm going to reiterate what I transition menu at the top of the menu, right? Sure. Yeah, sure, whatever you say. What do you say? Okay.
I'm just a customer. What do I know?
There you go. Alrighty then.
Can we steal them all? Are you sure he's out there?
That's fine, I just I'm good. Okay.
All right.
So, Tim, make yourself comfortable. Welcome to my office. I hope I held true to the 10 to 15 minutes.
You did. I had a
Good.
great cup of coffee.
Glad to hear it. Can I get you another beverage while we finish the process here?
Oh, good.
Okay, good. Well, that's the good news. Is we are in the final steps of the process, Tim, which is simply getting your signatures and all your delivery paperwork today. We do pride ourselves on being a full disclosure dealership. What I mean by that, Tim, is that I'm going to explain each and every document before I would ask you to put your signature on it. And there probably are there's newer consumer protection documents that you may not have had in your last purchase. So don't be bashful. If I explain something and you don't understand the first time, I'm happy to re-explain it before I ask you to put your signature on it. Fair enough? This part of our process usually takes about 25 to 35 minutes.
Okay.
I know you're in a hurry. I'm going to get you out as quickly as possible. What I don't want to do is rush through the documentation stage, miscrossing a T or misdocking an I, and then have to call you back to fix that, because I know you don't want to.
Take your time.
All right. Okay. Any questions up to this point?
Nope.
Okay, very good. The first thing that we have here is your motor vehicles application for your registration and title. If you can just give me your okay right there for the state of California. Okay, we've got your odometer statement for the new purchase, the 014 Accord. You're simply we're transferring out of our name into your name. As you can see, we've already signed it. I need your signature right there. And then, of course, here's the odometer for the trade-in for the 2007 Civic. And you're transferring it out of your name and into our name. Put your signature right there. Sign, 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 sign. Okay? Now, Tim, before I finalize the final contract, anything with the numbers you had agreed upon on it, there's something I want to review with you. You and I were talking at Charlotte's desk, and you had shared some information with me, and based on that information, I think there's some options that you might want to take a look at. Part of my job here, Tim, is to go over those programs because they protect your investment with 100% of our customers, and it's irrelevant if you're buying a $3,000 used car, or in your case, a $30,000 new car. We offer this to every customer to help them make a well-informed decision. Okay. So with that in mind, may I continue?
Sure.
Okay, very good. First things first, Tim, we put our programs in a menu of packages. But the first thing I want to review is you can leave here today at the $509 agreed upon payment. It's a 60-month term at your 4.9%. Okay? And you'll see that the selling price you agreed upon, the trade allowance, the trade payoff, the cash down, and the balances we agreed to find is $25,674.16. And again, you can leave here, but that might not be the best option for you based on some of the information you shared with me earlier. Okay?
Okay.
Get started?
Yes.
Sounds good. Starting with the preferred option, we begin with our vehicle service contract. It pays the cost of parts and labor for covered repairs. So basically what it does in layman's terms is it gives you coverage outside once the manufacturer's warranty expires. It gives you coverage beyond that for a certain amount of miles and years, okay? What I've chose for you today is our 6-year, 100,000 mile, what we call our diamond coverage. Now you can see here that we've got several different levels of coverage to choose from. We have powertrain, which covers your internally lubricated parts of your engine, transmission, and your drive axle components. You can go with the gold, which you have steering, brakes, air conditioning, electrical system, and then you can go with platinum, which gives you all of that and adds your steering, rear suspension, anti-lock braking system, and electronic cooling and fuel delivery and interior exterior. Okay?
Gotcha.
Diamond is what we call our exclusionary coverage. So these coverages here, powertrain, gold, and platinum, what we call named component coverage, Tim. What that basically means is that If it's listed, if you see it, it's covered. If it's something is not listed, it would therefore not be covered, okay? Still good coverages based on what you're willing to, how much money you want to spend. The Diamond Care is exclusionary coverage. So it covers over 15,000 parts on your automobile, with the only exclusions being listed right here. Let's review those really quickly. Item number 1 is your normal maintenance. Oil changes, tire rotations, 15Ks, 30Ks, that's still your responsibility, just as it is, as we talked about earlier, under the manufacturer warranty, okay? Some other small maintenance items like light bulbs, spark plugs, belts, hoses. Now, we do have what we call cause and effect coverage. What I mean by that is, if something covered causes the failure of a non-covered part, we would in fact cover the covered part. So even though belts and hoses are a maintenance item, which is your responsibility, if your belts and hoses need to be replaced as part of a covered repair, then we would then pay for the belts and hoses as well, because it's part of a covered repair, okay? Along with that, you get roadside assistance for the next 6 years, 100,000 miles. That takes care of jump starts, fuel or fluid delivery, flat tire assistance, lockout service if you lock the keys in the car. That is sign and drive up to $50 per occurrence. So you call our 1-800 number, we dispatch a tow truck to you, and whatever service you need, up to $50. If it's more than that, you're responsible for the rest. It's sign and drive, no cash exchange stands. Okay? We also have rental car provision at $30 a day for up to 5 days, and it's for each 8-hour period your vehicle would spend in the shop. So for each 8 hours, we'll reimburse you up to $30 a day for rental car provision. We also have what we call trip interruption. What that gives you, Tim, is if you suffer a breakdown more than 100 miles away from home, our program will pick up to $75 a day for a total of 5 days for emergency travel expenses. So God forbid it's a serious repair that's going to spend 3 or 4 days in the shop, you need to get home, we need to get a hotel, we'll pay for the hotel, we'll pay for train tickets, we'll pay for additional rental car time, up to $75 a day for a max of 5 days, okay? The rental benefit, the roadside assistance benefits, and the trip interruption benefits are not a one-time benefit, it's any time you have a covered need over the next 6 years, 100,000 miles, okay? Any questions on that?
No.
And your deductible is whopping $0. So you pay absolutely $0. Our program picks up all the cost of parts and labor. You have no deductible whatsoever. Okay?
Okay.
And the price of your program is right here. The next thing I'd like to go over with you, Tim, is our Guaranteed Asset Protection Program. And what that does for you is in the event of a total loss to your vehicle due to fire, theft, or collision, your insurance company's responsibility to you is to reimburse you for the ACV, or what they call actual cash value of the vehicle. Tim, what they're not responsible to do is pay your loan off. If you're like most of my customers, myself included, in that horrible situation, you most likely will owe more than the vehicle's actual ACV. And in most cases, that's thousands of dollars, which you would be responsible for. It's a terrible situation to be in because you now have no transportation and you still have a loan to pay off. So as an example, just to give you a quick verbal illustration, if your car's worth at the time of loss was $10,000, your insurance company would send you how much? Minus? So they would send you $9,500 if we know you have a $500 deductible, right?
Correct.
But when you called Honda, you still owed $16,000. In that case, our GAP program would pick up that $6,000 deficiency balance. We would pay that so you don't have to. We would also pay up to $1,000 of your insurance deductible, your auto insurance deductible, which means you walk away from that horrible experience with $0 out of pocket. And it's very valuable at a very low cost, and your price is right there.
Okay.
The next thing I'd like to go over with you is our tire and wheel program. What that does for the next 5 years, unlimited miles, is it protects your tires, rims, and or wheels against damage or destruction.
Okay.
So if we can't, if you get a hole in the tire, it goes flat, if we can't, God bless you, if we can't fix it, up to $50, we will replace that tire. If that pothole, that construction debris, a screw, a nail, whatever it was, caused the tire to be destroyed, which ultimately destroyed your rim or your wheel, we would then replace the wheel as well. There is no limit on the amount of claims you can make. You're covered for the next 5 years up to unlimited miles. It pays for balancing, stems, and sales tax where applicable. So it's a complete zero deductible program. Gives you that peace of mind, God forbid you're on the side of the road and you need help, because it does come with roadside assistance as well. You pick up the phone, you call the 1-800 number, and help is on the way. Okay? And it will provide you up to 2 days of rental car coverage in the event that your vehicle's laid up in the shop because they're ordering your tires, your rims, or what have you. And we don't put generic rims or generic tires. We replace the wheels and the tires with exactly the same make that you had on the vehicle.
So So if you have an all-wheel drive, will it cover all the wheels?
I don't fucking know. Please don't put that on YouTube. Okay. The next, and your price is right there. And the next thing, Tim, and we're really coming to the end here, so I appreciate your patience, is our Safeguard Theft Program. And I didn't ask you this earlier, but did Tim go over or point out to your anti-theft system?
He did.
He did. What did he tell you about it?
Oh, they showed me the little etchy thing on the.
Little etchy thing?
glass.
Yeah. Basically what we did, just so you understand it totally, is that we've etched a 9-digit ID code specific to your vehicle. It's on all 6 panels of the glass. It is designed to deter professional thieves. Based on what you know, what's the goal or the intent of a professional thief when they steal your car?
Part it out.
Chop it up and sell the parts, because it's worth more by chopping up and selling the parts versus selling it, in its entirety.
Right.
So most professional thieves know to look for anything that will make that vehicle traceable. So if they see those etched numbers, because you can see them, they just pass through your vehicle and take the next one. However, we've got joyriders, we've got folks that might steal your vehicle to commit a crime. If your vehicle is stolen and not retrieved within 30 days, or it's deemed a total loss, Tim, we would pay you a benefit of up to $5,000 if the check would come in your name to our dealership towards the purchase of the next vehicle. Okay? And when you look at the price, I think you'll agree there's just a heck of a lot of value there. Okay? And then last but not least is our Safe Shield car care system. And basically what that does is, when you and I were talking earlier on the showroom floor, you had mentioned that one of the reasons or one of your motivations for trading out of the Civic was it was getting up at its miles. You told me you never had a day's problems with it. You did the normal maintenance, but you weren't really happy with the appearance of the car. The paint had gotten a little chalky look, and the interior was getting a little beat up. The nice thing about this program, I don't know if you know this or not, Tim, but the manufacturers do not warranty their paint at all from day one. They used to, but the Environmental Protection Agency made them change their paint from a lead-based, now it's a water-based paint. Lead-based paint was very durable. It would not be permeable to acid rain, insects, bird droppings, UVA rays of the sun. Now the water-based paints are. To kind of make an analogy for you that's, I think, easy to understand, when you're traveling down the highway, you're passing by one of these car carriers, and they got a bunch of new cars on it, Toyotas, Hondas, whatever. Do you notice that white plastic that's on the vehicles?
Yep.
Do you know what that's called?
Wrap.
It is. It's called transit wrap. You are sharp as a bowling ball, dude. It's transit wrap, and what that transit wrap is designed to do, especially on flat surfaces, just between the port where the vehicle is delivered and its delivery to the dealership, they put this transit wrap on all the flat surfaces so that it won't suffer any paint damage on the way to and from acid rain, bird droppings, insects, UV rays, what have you. Some dealerships leave it on when they put the car into inventory. Most of us pull it off because it doesn't show very well. What this chemical does is it chemically bonds to the clear coat of your vehicle and makes that clear coat non-porous. So it does the same exact thing as transit wrap. Now, if our product didn't work and you suffered any paint damage, you would bring it into us. If we couldn't repair it, we would repaint the surface at no cost to you whatsoever. On the inside, we put a chemical that bonds to your either leather or cloth. We do the carpets, we do the seats, and what that does is it protects against all kinds of different types of stains. Bodily fluids, ketchup, mustard, coffee, you name it. In fact, if you guys have this, take a pause. If you have this, depending on the product you're using, you ever see the coffee strip test? It is stronger than death. So one side of this little strip is protected with the interior coating, and one side is not. You dip the side that's not in the coffee, and of course it stains. You dip the side that's protected in a cup of coffee, you pull it out, it just drips right off. It beads right off. It's a great presentation. It's a quick visual. You have a cup of coffee, your desk, you got a couple of strips there, and it's a great presentation. So, getting back in, put them on back on play, and that coverage is for the next 5 years of ownership, okay? And there's your cost right here. Now, Tim, the entire preferred package for the 60-month term is $607, but you do qualify for 72 months financing, which will bring your payment down to $530. So really, just another $21 a month on the 72-month term for all that value and all that protection.
Wow.
Now, moving along real quick, I got another 2 minutes here, and again, thank you for your patience. If you go with the value program, Tim, you would receive everything in the preferred package. You would still get the 6-year 100 vehicle service contract with 0 deductible. You would still get the GAP program. You would still get the theft program, the tire and wheel, and the theft. What you would be sacrificing would be the car care, interior and exterior protection. Sorry about that, guys. Got it on vibrate. Thank you. And your payment options for 60 and for 72. And the basic program would still give you your vehicle service contract for the next 6 years, 100,000 miles, Tim. Same exact coverage as we talked about over in the preferred package. You still receive the safe gap, same as over here, and you would still receive the safeguard tire wheel, same as over here. Now you'd be sacrificing the theft program as well as the interior, exterior protection. For 60 months on the basic package, your payment's there. 72 months would be $510. So if you went with the basic package, you're basically the same payment for 72 that you were on the vehicle itself at 60. And I should mention, because some people do get confused, these payments are inclusive of the vehicle purchase as well as the options. It's not an addition to your base payment.
Good to know.
Yeah, some people just don't make that connection. And last is your economy package, where you would still receive the 6-year, 100,000 mile diamond coverage, all exclusionary coverage, and you would also receive the safe gap. So again, you'd be forfeiting the tire and wheel, the theft protection, and the interior, exterior protection. For our economy package, your 60-month payment is right here, and your 72-month payment is right here. And Tim, I know that that's a lot of information to digest, and all the other things, I know that you've had to think about today. Do you have any questions whatsoever regarding any of the programs?
Nope.
Okay. I may not have mentioned, so I'll mention it now. We put them in package form because we find that that's what appeals to most of our customers. But keep in mind, you can purchase the products individually or in any combination.
Okay.
With that in mind, Tim, which programs do you see the most value in?
Well, I think I'll go off the board then. I'll take that, and that, but I'm not gonna take that.
Okay, so just to confirm, you want to go with the safe gap, you want to go with the safeguard tire and wheel, you want to go with the safeguard theft protection, and you want to go with your interior, exterior protection.
That's correct.
Excellent choices. Do me a favor. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to go 60 or 72?
Let's do the 72.
Okay. Do me a favor. Just give me your initials right there. We'll get that set up for you. Again, great choices, Tim. Time out. Just because I don't want you to have the dead time. What you can do here, okay, is if you save a few non-financial documents, okay, what you can do now is get out of your sales pitch, have them sign a few more non-financial documents, maybe keep the odometer statements or whatever, or the risk-based pricing or whatever, just a couple more, 2 or 3 more documents so he thinks he's done, okay? Have him sign those and then say, okay, Tim, I've just got 2 more things to print here, and then you'll be driving your new vehicle, okay? Before I move on, I noticed that you decided not to take advantage of our service contract program, and that's okay. There are options. You're not under any obligation, and they're not for everybody. I understand that. But I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, I think earlier you told me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you intended to keep the vehicle for 6 years, correct?
Correct.
And you would also mention, Tim, that you would hope to, you typically drive your cars about 15,000 miles a year, okay? So over a 6-year period at 15,000 miles a year, that would be about 90,000 miles of driving, give or take, okay? Now with the 100,000 mile plan, the reason I chose that plan is because I tried to tailor design as close as I could to your ownership habits and your driving habits. The extra 10,000 miles will allow you to take it on another trip or 2 without worrying about any cost of repairs, okay? Keep in mind that it's exclusionary coverage, covers over 15,000 parts in the vehicle, with the only 4 things that we discussed not being covered, not listed there, to give you peace of mind, it's covered. Roadside assistance, trip interruption, rental car benefit, so on and so forth. Covers all those high-tech options like your navigational system, your DVD players, the Bluetooth, the iPod dock, you name it. Okay, so it's pretty comprehensive considering all the new technology on these vehicles today. With that in mind, let me ask you a quick question. Has anybody here at the dealership thus far in the process reviewed with you in detail the manufacturer's coverage that you get with Honda, you get with the vehicle, and its limitations?
I don't think so.
Okay. Let me do that because one of the questions on your survey, as it relates to my job, is in fact that someone review the limitations of the factory warranty in detail with you. So your manufacturer's warranty is a 3-year or 36,000 mile limited bumper to bumper. Okay. So it's going to expire. The one limitation is going to expire in 3 years or 36,000, whichever would occur first. Okay. The second limitation is maintenance, and we already talked about that. All the maintenance, the required maintenance by the manufacturer is the customer's responsibility, and you know that because you told me you were maintaining the Civic with the tickets. So, kind of get a little right there. And the last, or the third limitation is that it's limited to defects in workmanship and parts. Just like when you buy a refrigerator or a new flat screen TV, even some of your cell phones, when you look at the warranty that comes from the manufacturer, it will tell you that it's limited to defects. That's not just true of Hondas when it comes to vehicles. That's true of all makes and models, okay? That limitation basically means that if the factory has built something improperly, that would cause a failure during that 3 or 36,000 mile period, they would pay for it as you would expect them to. Likewise, if they put a faulty part in the vehicle, they would pay for it as you would expect them to. Please understand, Tim, and I think you probably know this, there's a lot of outside conditions that wreak havoc on the reliability and quality of our vehicles. Changing climates, excessive heat, excessive cold. Our vehicles are giant computers on wheels today.
Right.
That's all, they're just controlled by computer chips. I like to use the suspension because as you drive rough roads, you're doing shift lanes and you're driving through potholes and all that good stuff. That's abusing your suspension. They're wearable items. Our program covers wear and tear. So as an example, under the manufacturer's warranty, if that suspension were to wear, and when they did the diagnosis, they said it was built properly, the parts were the right parts, and they were operating correctly, they would deem that to be a failure due to road conditions, regional road conditions, or driving conditions, and that could be a denied claim. Now, I must make that disclosure to you, Tim, but rest assured that Honda is a great company, and they take very good care of their customers when it comes to the coverage for the next 3 years or 36. We just want our customers to know that though it's a rare occurrence, it can and does happen, okay? With that in mind, can I just take a moment of your time to share with you how you'll be affected by your 336 factory warranty based on how you're gonna drive this car,
Sure.
okay? So you said you were gonna keep your car for 6 years, right?
Gotcha.
You said you were gonna drive 15,000 a year.
Okay.
So you have 45, 60, 75, and as we said, 90,000 miles. Now, based on that limitation of being 3 years or 36,000, whichever occurs first, Tim, where on the timeline would you see yourself being under factory coverage?
Right there.
A little bit beyond, I'd say maybe 2 1/3 years, right?
Okay.
Close enough. So let me ask you this. In your experience with vehicles you've owned, Tim, or just your general knowledge of vehicles and machines, when do you feel a vehicle's more likely to be in need of repair? Do you think it's going to be in the early years with lower miles, or more potentially in the later years with higher miles?
Probably the later years.
You're absolutely right. Kill me, dude. In fact, the manufacturers do what they call frequency of repair studies. And what these studies have shown is that sometimes, which makes customers a little bit unhappy, on a brand new car in the first year of ownership, there's over 15,000 parts, a lot of moving parts that are all trying to work together for the first time. And sometimes one thing just doesn't mesh with another. You get an annoying rattle, a squeak, a leaking fluid, or maybe even something more substantial. You bring it into the shop, it happened in the first year, it is a defect, it's taken care of by your manufacturer's warranty. They actually call this the adjustment phase of ownership. You may experience that, you may not. We hope you don't. From that period on, out to about 35 to 40,000 miles is the best time by factory standards to own your car. They call that the gas and go period. And that's just what you do. You gas it up, you go, make sure you do your oil changes, but the quality and reliability of that vehicle is exactly what you would expect it to be. But just as you said, and what you told me, and the factory studies concur, that frequency of repair is on a steady increase as you put more and more miles in the vehicle. The factories actually call this the repair phase of ownership. And Tim, quite frankly, our dealership, I think our industry, feels that that's where it can cost the customer an exorbitant with today's technology and, quite frankly, unnecessary out-of-pocket expense on behalf of the consumer. What I mean by that is our program would take care of it for you. But let me ask you one more question. If it doesn't make sense to you, that's fine. We'll move on. Okay?
Okay.
If Honda gave you the choice when you bought your new Accord today to choose the coverage where you felt it would most financially protect you against repair costs, would you take the coverage in the early years with lower miles where you and the factory feel you're least likely to need it? Would you take it in the later years with higher miles where you and the factory feel that you most need it? Or better yet, wouldn't you take seamless coverage for the whole 6 years, 90,000 miles you're going to drive the car?
I would take the whole thing.
That's what most customers tell us, and that's why we think it's so important to offer this program to folks like you who have the driving habits that you have. So, with that in mind, can you see how our program would in fact protect you, Tim? Even though you're buying a great car, consider all that technology, it would protect you against the high cost repairs over the next 6 years, 90,000 miles during the period of ownership where you, once again, and the factors agree, the vehicle really does need it the most.
Yeah, I can see that, but I think I'll take my chances.
Okay, fair enough. I can understand that. I've heard that from a few other customers, and basically what they told me was that, Mike, you know what, because they bought previous Hondas as you have yourself, and you've had such amazing, tremendous success with it as it relates to spending money on repairs, right? Again, I can't stress enough, Tim, the new technology in this vehicle that just wasn't on your last vehicles. And some of this technology is just so new, the factories don't know, we don't know, will it withstand the test of time or miles? It's just too soon to know. When you say you want to take your chances, are you just concerned because it's such a good car that you might pay for something that you would never use?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I can certainly appreciate that. I don't know that I'd want to make a large financial investment and not get a return on it. But can I share a thought with you?
Sure.
You know, when it really comes down to the bare nuts and bolts of a program like this, it's an insurance policy. It's a policy that if the car breaks, it absorbs the financial loss that you would have had to absorb in that situation. Think about all the insurances and the premiums that we pay, the insurances that we buy, that we pay premiums, but we don't ever want to use them. Think about health insurance, right? We don't want to get sick or injured to the point where we miss time work or God forbid we're hospitalized, but we pay those premiums just in case, because we know that a hospitalization could cost tens of thousands of dollars, right? So they absorb that loss so we don't have to. Just like our life insurance. When you know, we don't want to die, but we know one day we will, but we pay that money because we want to make sure that the finances are taken care of for our families, our children, our wives, right? That's why I have it anyway. And let's face it, the day that someone's cashing your life policy was not your best week, right?
Yes.
If you just took a look at the investment you're making today, Tim, the automobile purchase, most people tell me, I know it's true for me, it's the second largest purchase that most of us make next to our homes, right? Is that true for you?
Yes.
Okay. So you're financing the vehicle today, you're required to have full coverage insurance, comprehensive collision and liability. We know that you have that, right? Because otherwise you wouldn't be able to finance it. If you were paying cash today for the vehicle and you did not have a lien on it and you did not have to have full coverage, do you think you would still carry full coverage anyway on a brand new shiny $30,000 car?
Sure.
Why would you do that? If you don't mind me asking, you didn't have to.
Because I don't want to get hit when I drive it off the lot.
Because it could cost you
A lot.
thousands of dollars potentially, right? And that's one way to insure the vehicle. I wouldn't do it any different if I was paying cash for the car. Let's just take a quick look, and if this doesn't make sense, we are done. Fair enough? All
Fair
right.
enough.
Your auto insurance, most customers on a yearly basis, their premium is anywhere between $1,200 and $1,500 for full coverage. Where's yours fall in that range?
Probably 1,200.
About $1,200? Okay. So that's the premium on a yearly basis. We already know your deductible is $500. We talked about that back in the Coles test, right? So if you got to a small fender bender, Tim, just weren't paying attention, you're approaching a red light, dinged the guy in front of you. Fortunately, no damage to his car, but you suffered a little bit of damage to the front corner panel, headlights cracked. Doesn't look real bad. I mean, you could drive the car with that damage for sure. You probably wouldn't want to in your brand new vehicle, but you take it to a body shop before you even decide to call the insurance company, and they tell you you've got, I don't know, $625 worth of damage. Knowing that you'd be responsible for your deductible of $500, do you think you would actually make that claim to the insurance company?
Probably not.
And why not?
Because I don't want that to go against my premiums.
Because if you make a claim, some companies, they will give you a mulligan, one free one, right?
Right.
But second, third one, they are raising your rates. That's just a fact, right? So basically, what they're doing is lending you the money, right?
Yeah.
And if you had to make a number of claims over the course of the 6 years you would own the Accord, just because you had some bad luck, what could they do to you?
They would drop.
They could cancel you because now you're just too much of a risk, right? So if you look at mathematics and things that we pay for that we may never use, we hope we don't ever use, because if I use my own insurance, what does that mean? Got to a wreck, right? So mathematically speaking, in the next 6 years of ownership, assuming that premium doesn't go up, you're going to spend $7,200 for that coverage. Great, protects the outside of the car. My Diamond plan covers the 15,000 parts on the inside. Now my plan is $1,800 for 6 years of coverage, right? So what would that work out to be on an annual basis? If you took $1,800, do me a favor, just do that. I think it's $300, pretty simple math, but
Looks like 300.
so $300 a year. What's my deductible, you remember?
I don't think it's anything.
Big fat zero. And Tim, here's the beauty of our program. When you